Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this Smackdown review. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. First of all, I hate this. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. I'm not even joking. It's one of the worst things I have ever seen. I thought this was just a prank. It was a way to wind up the fans, but they've put a press release out to say that this is happening. Right? Apparently, we are now going to have to see a Prime bottle in the middle of the ring all the time during premium live events. This doesn't make wrestling better, right? It only serves one purpose, and that is to advertise Prime. There is clearly a place in wrestling for sponsorships. We've got the barricades. If we have to, we'll use the Titantron, the entranceway. We've got graphics that come in. We've got people playing 2K24 backstage. I mean, we do a lot with advertising and sponsors. But one of the things that Vince always, on purpose, we could have done this ages ago, but one of the things that Vince always said was that he wanted the ring canvas to be kept clean. And I think there was always a chance this was going to happen because obviously TKO look after UFC and UFC have sponsors all over that canvas. And we've seen in other sports, the canvas is used for sponsors. So in a way, WWE was a bit like the exception. I think even in AEW, they've had DraftKings on the canvas in the past. So WWE, I think, was the exception. I think this was something that was always gonna happen. We just didn't know when it was gonna happen. But part of me thinks, like, maybe if it was the Nike swoosh, maybe if it was that, I could cope with it better. I think part of it is that it's Prime. I feel like I'm being slapped in the face by Logan Paul. That's how I feel. I feel like this is a tough one to take, man. This is a tough one to take. I feel like Logan's come in and he's ruining the sports entertainment that I love. This does not benefit wrestling. Yeah, they get a bit of money out of it, but, Prime could have just advertised on the barricades. They could have advertised on the, turnbuckle pads or, whatever. But, oh, God, Cody's going to finish his story. This was mentioned during the live stream. He's going to finish his story if he does it this year at WrestleMania whilst kneeling on a bottle of Prime. It's awful. I would love for Boycott Prime to trend and for there to be a big backlash against this. I would absolutely love that. I think a lot of people are going to speak out about this because if you've been a wrestling fan like I have for WWE since the early 90s, this is unacceptable. I mean, this really is something that I think you're right to be upset about. So I think a lot of the younger fans will be like, get over it, granddad, right? And they've probably got a point, but, there are worse things going on in the world. But, oh, God, I hate this with every fiber of my body. I really hate this. I really hate this. So really, after this, the whole rest of the show was ruined. As soon as I found out this was real and it was actually happening, that was it. Everything else after this was atrocious. Like, everything had a bad taste in my mouth. Like I'd just drunk Prime. So basically, we get KSI. He came into the ring. Randy Orton came into the ring. He RKO'd KSI. And draped his body over that Prime bottle, tried to cover over the Prime bottle with KSI's body, and then we went to commercial break. We then went over to our first match. Our first match was Randy Orton and Kevin Owens taking on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I can tell you that this got a rating of 51% said the match was good. Out of 100%, 51, it was the most people voted on it being a good match, right? And basically it was a win for Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Logan Paul attacked or tried to attack after with the brass knucks. Didn't work. Randy got them. He almost hit Kevin Owens by mistake, but thankfully he didn't. And that kind of brought this opening segment to a close. That took up the first half an hour of a show, to be honest. Backstage, we saw Bayley. She did a sit-down interview. She said she was just hanging on by a thread. She said she's all alone, but she said she can adapt, and she's going to try and bring down Damage Control. We saw then Bianca and Naomi. Naomi seemed to be quite sympathetic towards Bayley. Bianca definitely was not. She was not sympathetic. I like the end line here. She was like, I need to say something nice to finish this. And she said, like, I hope that Bayley does well at WrestleMania. I don't know. And walked away. I kind of like that. I thought that was good. So Naomi showing, like, some concern was interesting. This would say to me that Naomi's going to join up with Bayley. And I feel like Bianca's probably going to be dragged in to helping Bayley as well against Damage Control. Bayley definitely needs some help here. Could we see them two as a team, maybe? Or are we going to see Jade coming in? You know, could it be that Jade arrives? How many people are in Damage Control? Dakota, Io, and the Kabuki Warriors. So there's 4. So we might need 4 people to go up against them. So Bayley, Jade, Bianca, Naomi. Done. There we go. Done. Right, next we got Bobby Lashley against Karrion Kross. Bobby picked up the win. This got 55% good. Again, I think every match tonight was just good. So Bobby Lashley got the victory after the AOP got involved. So Authors of Pain got involved. Street Profits came down. Basically, the final testament ended standing tall. I don't think there really was much to that, to be honest. There wasn't much. B-Fab slapped Scarlett at one point. That was kind of cool. And I like Paul Ellering. Like, he was stood in the entranceway like Mr. Burns. And he was like, oh, and he had his Hall of Fame rings on. And he was like, all moody looking. I do like him. But, yeah, I've got to say, the feud feels a bit flat. It feels a bit flat for me at the moment. Then we moved on and we got Tiffany Stratton against Michin. Tiffany Stratton getting a squash win. That got 56% good in the ratings. Backstage, it's worth mentioning that Dragon Lee was surrounded by Legado del Fantasma and, like, intimidated. They said to him, like, do you think you're the next Rey Mysterio? And they sort of pushed him around a bit. And that would lead to something later. Then we got this moment as well. So Michin lost, and then we went backstage and we heard from AJ Styles. AJ Styles basically said he had to watch LA Knight walk around like he owned this place. And basically said, like, he was going to put him in his place. LA Knight was watching on a TV and then just trashed the TV. So AJ Styles said that LA Knight was a loudmouth that desperately was in need of humbling. LA Knight took that personally, and he took it out on the TV that he was watching. So LA Knight got very animated. Then we got Angel taking on Dragon Lee. As I said earlier, they surrounded him, pushed him around a bit. That led to a match. Dragon Lee picking up the victory. This got a good rating, again, of 55%. Legado beat down Dragon Lee after. There was no LWO to make the save. Apparently, they weren't there this week. So it just meant that Dragon Lee just got bullied, basically. So I'm sure there'll be some repercussions from that. We saw Damage Control backstage. Dakota said that she's always been the brains. Io said that this was always going to lead to the Io era. And Dakota said, I will see you in the ring next week. So I think we're getting Dakota versus Bayley next week. We also had a lot of security guards there because obviously we had Roman, we had Rock, we had Cody, we had Seth. The security guards were minding the door for Cody and Seth's locker room. Nick Aldis went in and they weren't in there. So we was like, where have they gone? And we would find out that I don't know how they got out, to be honest. But they, in that final segment, made their way to the ring through the crowd, which was a nice moment. It was a cool moment. Michin, look, saying something has got to change. Michin definitely feeling the effects of losing that match. And it was quite a bad loss as well. She lost that match quite quick, to be honest. So you can see she's deep in thought. Seth, backstage, has got a Team 7 Bucks tape over his mouth. So I think he's kind of saying that he's being silenced. And wow, this was amazing. So that was all of the stuff, really, that happened on SmackDown. We had half an hour left to go. I don't think it had been that great of a show. It was pretty run-of-the-mill. But then we got to this. Slightly new, updated Rock entrance. I made the comment during the live stream, I don't know why we're making The Rock's entrance even cooler when he's meant to be a heel, because all it's doing is making everyone go, wow, that's great, that's cool, right? And it means that the babyface's entrance is maybe not as cool in comparison. I kind of feel like if you're a heel, like, shouldn't we be like making it not as cool? And actually making, like, trying to, like, you know, we don't want Rocky chants. We're not trying to encourage Rocky chants. I know people were saying, oh, well, Roman's getting jealous. Well, my argument would be that you can make Roman jealous like a million ways. I don't think that we need to use, like, this as a way to make Roman jealous. What this does is potentially overshadow Cody. Because Rock looks amazing here. He looks really cool. When actually we should be building up Cody and making Cody look like this is the kind of entrance Cody should have. You know, we should be making Cody look cool and Seth look cool. We should be making the baby faces look cool, not the heels. I don't really get this, and I don't really get the argument of we're trying to make Roman jealous, because I just think there's so many ways we can achieve that anyway. Then obviously we had them in the ring. And then this is when Cody and Seth came down, and they came down through the crowd. We went to commercial break. When we came back, this is an interesting segment. By now, the entrances had took so long. Commercial breaks had interfered. We only had about 10 minutes left. There was quite a few bits that went down, though. Roman said, acknowledge us, rather than acknowledge me, which was interesting. Cody came through the crowds. We had them all in the ring. Cody said, like, feel really lucky to be here. We should maybe take a moment just to, you know, soak this in. He told The Rock he heard the challenge. And then he questioned, have you even got the authority to make a challenge like that? Because last week I saw you acknowledge Roman. The Rock jumped in and he says, of course I acknowledge Roman. That's what family does. Then the crowd started chanting diarrhea. So that diarrhea Dwayne thing did land. It did stick. The Rock didn't look best pleased with that. He waited for it to die down. And as soon as it died down, he went to start talking. But then Seth interrupted and basically said, will you shut up? Listen to me, Mr. Midlife Crisis, right? We accept your challenge. So Seth accepted the challenge. Roman started laughing and said, are you going to let him answer for you? I think he said, are you going to let this cross-dresser answer for you like that? Which I thought was a very strange line to use. Rock pointed out that he's the boss and that he's their boss. And this did feel like a big line. He said, you know, if you lose at WrestleMania, you'll never get another shot. I can guarantee you of that. You'll never get another shot. Because The Rock pointed out he was on that TKO board. And then actually The Rock continued. We were right towards the end of the show here. And he said, he asked about Cody's sister and said she was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and they were in Dallas, I believe. Big cheer. And then he asked about his brother, Hall of Famer. And then he quickly said future Hall of Famer. So, I don't know, is Goldust going in soon? The way, or did he just get confused? Because that's news to Goldust, I'd imagine. Future Hall of Famer. That must be nice to have heard. I mean, it's a no-brainer, of course it is. But it was like future Hall of Famer. He asked about his brother. I didn't name him. And he said, like, there's about 20 years difference, isn't there, between you guys? And he said, do you know why that is? It's because you're a mistake. and Cody slaps The Rock. And that felt like a big moment because, of course, The Rock slapped Cody at that press event. And this feels like Cody's way of, you know, getting a little back, getting a little summit back, you know. So I liked that. The show ended. In our live stream, there was people that were disappointed that there wasn't more to this final segment. I think that it gave me what I was expecting. I was expecting them to all be in the ring, the challenge to be accepted, maybe a few little insults being thrown in there, and that was my expectation. So I didn't really go into it with anything, any big swerves or anything like this. I thought this was a segment just to confirm that we're getting the tag match, and that's what we got. I would have liked a bit more time. I would have liked a bit more back and forth. But I do like the fact that Cody delivers the slap and then we're off air. Because it's like, oh my God, he just slapped him. Oh man, he's going to pay a price for that. You know, you want to see more. You don't know how The Rock's going to react. There's going to be that kind of, here's what happened after SmackDown went off air type footage. We'll put that in unseen when it comes through. But you know, everyone's going to have had their camera phones. That's good for their social media because people are going to want to know, oh my God, did The Rock do anything in response? You know, my guess is probably not. They probably just left the ring as soon as the show ended. That's my guess. So yeah, I think, look, for me, this was a show that was a bit flat, a bit disappointing, to be honest. I don't think any of the matches really delivered. There was maybe a bit of progression with some of the storylines. But it felt like, considering this is WrestleMania season, it didn't feel like it was a show that was like, oh my God, this is amazing. The final segment, I really enjoyed. I got enough from it. It definitely elevated my score. But I thought it was interesting that people were still critical of it. And honestly, probably my biggest takeaway is that awful Prime situation. That's probably the thing that I'm, you know... as much as I enjoyed that final segment, the first segment's upset me way too much. So, score-wise, it's a hard one to score this, to be honest. I feel like the show was flat, fun ending. So how do you score that? And you've got The Rock, and you got Roman, and you got Cody, and you got Seth. Such a big segment. Such a big segment. I feel like this might be a 6-7-5. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm thinking about a 7. I certainly don't think... I think the rest of the show prevents this getting into, like, the 8s or anything like that. It was solid. I don't think it was a disaster. I don't think the show was, like, you know, a bad show. I just think it was solid. It was fine. And then the final segment picks up the score. So I'm going to say 6-7-5. I'm going to settle on that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm going to run away and work on the next Unseen video. Really appreciate people stopping by and checking the video out. And yeah, we'll have to see what Raw has got in store for us on Monday as we continue on this road to WrestleMania. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.